Oh, and welcome to the Gonzo Experience. I am David Gonzo Mamano, and another great episode of the Gonzo Experience podcast every Wednesday morning for over 6 years, folks. 6 years of great guests, and today will not disappoint. I have another great guest, Stan Phelps. Stan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David.
Stan, you are such a pleasure. You're so helpful. I've talked about a couple things that I'm working on, and most people will be like, "Oh, that's great." Maybe give me like one or two little nuggets. You'll spend like a half hour just helping me work through things, and so very helpful guy. And Stan, so you are a very focused speaker. You're a keynote speaker all over the country, if not the world. You did very well during COVID. Mastering virtual events. You even created a cool studio that I really liked as well. But you're on the road more and more, which is exciting. So, Stan, welcome to the show. I'm going to give our audience a little taste of who you are. I want to hear about your journey. I'm going to say you're a marketer at heart. You're very good at helping people stand out, as you say, from the sea of sameness, in the sea of sameness, right? You have a series of books called the Goldfish books, which I want to learn more about. How many are there? How many Goldfish books do you have?
Just 17.
That's it, you slacker! What the heck? I can't believe it, Stan. You are really focused on the experience, right? How do people feel when they work with you, right? We're going to get into that. And we might want to talk about quickly why the official name of your company is called 9-inch, right? So
9-inch marketing, yes.
9-inch marketing, which, in today's very hypersensitive world, kudos to you for going with that. But yeah, I had to get rid of Make Love in the Workplace as my keynote for workplace culture talks. But we're going to talk about what you mean by that is very clean. So Stan, again, welcome. And let's start out by first, what I like to tell people, and maybe you'll say this, what are they going to walk away with? What nugget or nuggets are they going to walk away with by the end of this podcast? What can we guarantee here?
Well, I will guarantee kind of the entire approach of the series of books is based on a word that comes from New Orleans. And so they're going to learn a word, and I think a philosophy, if I'm being honest, that Mark Twain once said, David, was worth traveling all the way to New Orleans to get.
All right.
Stick around.
A little suspenseful, but wait, there's more. I like it. Very good, Stan. So, Stan, tell us about your journey. How did you get start helping companies really differentiate their marketing and their experiences to attract more of the right customers?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. My background is as a marketer. So my first 2 decades working in business was both on the agency side and on the brand side. So I spent time on the brand side with Adidas, the New York Yankees, the PGA of America. And then I also worked on the agency side with IMG and a group called Synergy. And almost everything I did, David, as a marketer was not about the customer that we currently have. It was about chasing who? The prospect, right?
Yeah, new ones, yeah.
Yeah, how can we interrupt them, get them into the funnel? Mm-hmm. And I used to do kind of like all sorts of crazy stuff to create those impressions. And this is going back to like 2007, 2008. I was working for a company called Synergy, and we did larger than life, like brand experience, almost like stunty type of stuff designed to get earned media. And I realized at that time that marketing was changing so quickly, and that your brand was no longer just what you told people it was. And that your brand, and I believe this today, is what your customers experience. It's how they feel about that experience. And most importantly, it's what they tell others about that experience. So I had in 2009, I had this kind of moment of truth, and it led me on this journey to create a project that I called the Purple Goldfish Project. And it led me to collect over 1,001 examples of companies that did little things to enhance the experience, to do a little bit more. And that one book led to now a series of 11 different colors and 17 books.
What are some of the early examples, if you remember, 17 books ago?
Yeah, so the Purple Goldfish is around this idea of doing little things. And I had people sending me examples. So a great example of a purple goldfish would be from like DoubleTree Hotel. So you stay at a DoubleTree Hotel, and one of the little things that they do is you check into the hotel. Do you know what their purple goldfish is?
I don't know if I've been at a DoubleTree. I don't know.
So when you check in, they give you a chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And it's like a warm, freshly baked chocolate chip cookie. And they've been doing it all the way since like the 1980s. They've given away over 500 million cookies.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that as a little example of a customer, a company doing a little something extra to create that great first impression. So that's kind of one of the 10 types of purple goldfish.
Yep. I was thinking of Embassy Suites, and I think of their breakfast, right? Would that be classified as one, right? Like
absolutely kind of, made to order, full breakfast, right?
Yep.
I joke. I told people, I go, I'm like a really big VIP. I go, last time I stayed at Embassy, right, I got upgraded to a suite.
Aren't they all suites?
They're all suites. Yeah. And I got the breakfast. Yeah,
that's good. And you got the breakfast because you're so VIP. Huh?
I tell people, speaking of hotels, because now we've talked about 2 hotels, part of the inspiration around the goldfish comes from a boutique hotel chain called Kimpton.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of Kimpton before?
I have heard of Kimpton. Yeah, I haven't stayed there, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
So I can tell you, they absolutely get the guest experience. Gourmet coffee for free in the lobby. Mm-hmm. They do wine tasting in the afternoon. They're pet friendly, so you can bring your dog for free. They'll treat your dog like a king. But they don't do it anymore, unfortunately. But for a good 20 plus years, if you were staying at one of their properties and maybe you were getting a little lonely, mm-hmm. they would give you a pet goldfish for your stay.
Right.
And it's a program that they called Guppy Love.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And so I love it. The idea, you mentioned differentiation before. The best marketing that we do comes from our current customers. Mm-hmm. Because when they refer us, that referred customer over their lifetime is upwards of 4 times as valuable than a traditionally acquired customer.
Right.
And the reason being that if I'm referred, right, somebody's already kind of vouched for that product or service, I stay longer and spend more. So upwards of twice the amount of money over my lifetime.
Yeah.
And because this is the magic, because I've been referred myself, David, what am I more apt to do?
Tell other people.
Spread
the love. Spread the love.
Over my lifetime, I refer up to twice the amount of people.
Yeah.
So the entire we'll talk about this concept it's called Lanyap, but if the big takeaway, and I love, this is a quote, not by me, by a guy named Peter Shankman, who's amazing. He says, it's not all that hard. Take care of the customers you have, provide them a great experience. They will bring you the customers you want.
Yeah. Word of mouth. Best thing. Yep. Because if I'm going to be in your neck of the woods, which is North Carolina, right? And I'm going to say, hey, Stan, while I'm down there, where do you recommend I eat? And you're going to maybe say 2 or 3 places. And I'm going to be like, I'm going there. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, because Stan said it's good. I'm going to trust your palate. So, yeah, that's excellent. So, so what are, some of the things that you do to tell companies on how to, find their goldfish, find their unique, differentiator and provide that experience that is second to none and different than everybody?
Yeah, so I have a whole framework that I typically take companies through when I do, especially when I do workshops. And so the first step, it's called the idea framework. So really quickly, the first step is what we call the inquire phase, right? And the inquire phase is super important. It's understanding your customer, and more importantly, understanding what your customer values the most. Because we have a challenge. None of our resources are unlimited. We can't be great at everything. So we have to understand and over-index on the things our customers value the most. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would challenge you actually, and this is hard to do, you have to understand the things that aren't as important. And here's the challenge. You have to underperform at the things that they least value.
Interesting.
Because that frees up resources to focus on the things that do.
Yeah.
So once you do that, you understand your customer, you understand the things that they value, then you're ready for the D in the idea framework. And that's what we call the design process, the D process. And people love this. They want to go right into the design process, right? They know what they like. That's why you got to do that first part. But the D is really about setting your focus, David. And it's on 2 things. One is what we call your most damaging gaps. So your customer is always trying to get a job done, right? They're trying to fulfill a need that they have. Sometimes they get friction along the way, right? They can't get what they want, or they can't find what they need, right? So part of your job is to like fill that gap. Like it's almost like a pothole, right? You want to smooth out the experience. So that's one part of the thing that you want to design for. The second part is what we call opportunities. And opportunities are kind of key moments within the journey for your customer as they work with you that you see as important enough to try to elevate and take to that next level. So for example, like that DoubleTree moment of like checking into the hotel, that is a key moment. Right? And if you stay at a Four Seasons, I love this, they'll actually walk around the desk and give you your key.
That's nice. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And because it's about making that great first impression, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe even walk you to the elevator, right?
Absolutely. Walk you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so those are opportunities to stand out and create that differentiating moment.
Yeah.
Because most of our experience is forgettable.
Yeah.
Like we don't remember on a scale of 1 to 5, like a 3-star experience.
Right.
Or a part of the experience. So once we do the D in the idea process, the last 2 steps are evaluate and advance. And the evaluate is simply kind of some things that you need to go through to validate that that idea is actually plausible. So internal assessment, can we actually pull it off internally? Do we have the bandwidth? Do we have the resources? Do we have the people, right?
Yeah.
And then what we call external validation. So we take the idea out to, if we have a customer advisory board, or we do a focus group, or we do surveying, we want to test out and validate that our idea that their idea is actually resonating.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last step there is to pilot the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So try it out on a small scale.
Yeah.
And assuming we can do that, we're ready to move it to the advanced phase. And that's more about selling in the idea, rolling out the idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then measuring it on an ongoing basis.
Yep. A little more science to it.
Yeah. I mean, just, continuously trying to improve it. So inquire, design, evaluate, advance.
And what you're talking about, you're not talking about just service. It's easy to identify service-based businesses that will do some of these things.
Right.
What about like a digital marketing company or a technology company or an HR firm or a law firm, right? CPA firm. Do you have any good examples of things that they have done to stand out and just really be different than all the other CPA firms out there, or et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking about the Purple Goldfish, and there's 10 different ways that you can stand out. And certainly a lot of my examples of the 1001 came from more B2C type of because that's frankly a lot of our interactions and the things that we remember. But the same things apply to B2B. So there's two kind of categories of things you can do. One, things that you do to add value, right? To honor the relationship, you do a little bit more, right? And then there are 5 ways. So that's 5 ways there. The other 5 are what I call maintenance. So how do you make it easier for me to do business with you? Right?
Yeah, that's big.
How do I do maybe a little bit of added service, right? How do I make it convenient? How do I handle the waiting process, right? And keep your clients updated on where you are. How do I handle mistakes? We all make mistakes, but I'll tell you the one where I think it has the most application to B2B. And it's a category that I stumbled upon called sampling. Now, we think about sampling as we go to I'm a big Costco fan, so like I go to Costco, right?
For lunch.
What do? They have the little stations out there. You can almost have a full meal.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, wow, I'm full. That's great.
Right. I can't even afford the $1.50 hot dog and soda on the way out.
Right.
By the way, that's a Purple Goldfish for Costco. Even though they're not giving it away for free, they're giving a tremendous amount of value. But here's the deal. We think about sampling as something we do to get a new customer through the door. But here's the thing. For most B2B businesses, of 100% of what you can do for a customer, what percentage, David, do you think the average customer, somebody who's already doing business with that firm, what do they know of the 100% of the capabilities?
10%.
On average, it's about 20 to 25. So you're in the ballpark.
I'm thinking myself, right? So yeah.
And these are people, this is important, that are already stroking you a check. Right? You might be doing 1 or 2 things for them, but if everything that you can do. So here's the thing. Instead of trying to get the new customer through the door, why don't you figure out ways, a little something extra might be sampling additional things that you can do for that client or customer. Right? Yeah. I tell people I collected 1,000 plus examples. Maybe one of my favorites was from this small little ice cream shop in St. Paul, Minnesota. And it's a place called Izzy's Ice Cream, right? And when this guy opened his ice cream store, someone gave him advice. You have to give away free samples and you have to smile. I mean, that's pretty good advice, right? Yeah. He was like, I don't want to give away free ice cream.
Yeah.
So this is what he did, David. He makes 130 different flavors. Now, not all 130 are there all the time.
Yeah.
But when you order, you're a paying customer, you order a scoop of ice cream at Izzy's Ice Cream. They let you pick a second flavor for free, and they give you this little baby scoop on the top of that flavor. And that's called the Izzy. You order 2 scoops, guess what? You get to pick 2 additional flavors.
Double Izzy
on top.
Double Izzy.
What a smart way, because we've all been to the ice cream place, right? And we fretted over picking a bad flavor.
Yeah.
What an easy way to get someone to try something risk-free.
Yeah.
And that would be, I mean, and here's the thing. In my first book, I talked about Wells Fargo using this principle. And that's a bad example now based on their track record, right? But the average bank would have like 2.5 products with a customer, right? Like a savings would be one, a checking, a credit card, a mortgage, whatever, home equity line.
Yeah.
So when the average bank had 2.5 products, the average Wells Fargo customer typically had about 6. And here's the thing, when you take a current customer that you're already fulfilling, and you can say, do you know I can do this, that, and the other thing? And maybe you let them try it out, and you take them from 2 services to now 3 services. What happens with that relationship?
It just deepens, and they tell more people, right? So, oh my God, I get to do everything.
I get to do everything.
One-stop shop, right? Yeah.
Right. It's hard for them to leave, and it's better for them, given sourcing and procurement, right?
Yeah.
So that would be maybe that's the one thing people can take away.
And then another lesson to take away from Wells Fargo is don't sign them up for products that they didn't order, right? That or we've got them an average of 3 to 5 products. We want 6. We're just going to give it to them. They're not even going to know about it, right?
we know our customers. Let's
right. So I guess the end of that story is great job, Wells Fargo, until you stop doing it with ethics, right?
right.
So,
but here's the thing: takeaway. Even though and here's the thing: you need to make sure you're setting up the systems and the rewards that don't. I think part of the problem was so much of their performance from an employee perspective was focused on that. That it caused people to try to game the system.
Right. Yeah. That's good. I'm thinking of more boring businesses like we were talking about, CPA firms, et cetera. And I just remembered, so my CPA firm, I've been with them for a long time. I remember that when I started working with them, they asked me what my favorite local bakery was. And I told them, we're in Rochester, a lot of Italians. It's a bakery called Grutaderia.
Okay.
Nice Irish name. And so around the holidays, every year for Christmas, they send me, I get it delivered, a beautiful package. It's gorgeous, wrapped, everything of Grutaderia cookies. And
nice.
And so that is that for me, that probably cost them, I don't know, $20-30 at the end of the day. Right. But for me, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting my cookies. I'm getting my cookies from this firm, and it's such a nice touch, and it's a personal touch. Right. And so that makes, they could, save me all the money they want on taxes, and they do, but, and I get my cookies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun examples. Like there was a video production company in Colorado, and so a bunch of the partners in the firm were really big like craft beer enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So whenever they would finish like a big project for a client, they would have like the craft beer that they created, and they would celebrate and bring that beer as part of the honoring the project and give the beer away.
Yeah.
But I even like yours because, again, to your point, it's even more personal to what I like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So we promised two things. We promised 9-inch, name of your company, why, and the nugget that we promised that they were going to walk away with. So the suspense has been killing them, right? So
so 9 inches, by the way, for about 85% of people listening right now, 9 inches is the distance between your thumb and your pinky if you spread your hand out.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a built-in measuring stick.
Yeah.
If you had a paperback book, which is usually the spine is always 9 inches, that's a good way of but the more important thing, the distance between the stem of your brain and the top of your heart is exactly 9 inches.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's coming together for you.
And so when we talk about doing the little things, right, to honor the relationship, right, just like your CPA firm does, that's not about the eyes and the ears, right, and interrupting people. It's about trying to reach the heart of the customers that we serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people to try to make that journey. It's just 9 inches.
Yeah.
That is the longest and hardest 9 inches in marketing.
I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Stan. Very creative. And so they're going to, so now as we end this podcast, I try to keep it around a half an hour. What are they going to walk away with here? What's they're going to walk out of this podcast and be like, oh my God, I can do this now.
So I'm going to go back to, we talk about this concept of lagniappe, which is a Creole word, literally means the gift or to give more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on the idea that we just don't meet expectations.
Mm-hmm.
We either exceed expectations for our customers or we fall short.
Yeah.
And so my challenge to them is, how are you doing signature things that make you talkable, right? That people want to talk about, that show your customers that you actually care about them. What's your version of the cookies from the bakery or the warm chocolate chip cookie from DoubleTree, right? Or the made to order breakfast from Embassy, like we've talked about, or the little scoop on top that makes you different and stand out.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. So that's the New Orleans thing you were talking about. It's a Creole word. Is that you said?
Creole, which is French and Spanish.
Yeah.
It literally means the gift or to give more.
Yeah, you're making me think of, I don't, besides my quote unquote, winning personality, I'm not doing too much with that extra scoop of ice cream, and so what I could do is, I have my book, Crash and Learn, my most current book. And, I wonder if after I have somebody on my podcast or if I, talk to a prospect, if I just all of a sudden drop in a signed copy of the mail to them, all of a sudden they're getting a free copy of my book. And, a week later, it's another little remembrance of David Mamano, and it might instigate them to send me an email and say thank you, and we continue the conversation. Right? So,
love
it.
I don't like it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. I don't like it. I say it to my kids. I don't like it. I love it. Well, Stan, thank you so much. I love your great positive energy you're putting in the world. Truly a sweet human offering a lot of value to the world. So thank you for that. So glad we were introduced by
Patrick.
Oh my God, Patrick again. Patrick has introduced me to so many people.
Patrick is a living and walking purple goldfish.
He really is. He really is. So, but Stan, people want to reach out to you, say hello, get connected, hop on a phone or a Zoom call with you. What's the best way?
Yeah, my website's probably the best bet, stanphelps.com.
Yep.
By the way, no relationship to Michael Phelps.
You know how many times Michael says that? Michael says that like, I'm not related to Stan. Leave me alone. So.
Good stuff. Hey, it was a pleasure, David.
Yeah, well, come visit me in Rochester. We actually have a Phelps, New York, not too far from here. So, yeah, it's a good looking old fashioned upstate New York town, So, but Stan, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you sharing some heartbeats with us today. I wish you continued success.
Great, thanks.
I also want to thank the Gonzo family for listening and or watching to another episode of the Gonzo Experience. Thank you so much. Every Wednesday morning, a brand new episode. Like us, love us, share us, the whole works. We appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. And don't forget to stay awesome.